I'm super excited today to show you one of the worst investments of my life. I spent close to 15K on this fake VW van. To be more precise though, this is a 1993 Subaru Sambar with the VW body kit. And yes, it is four-wheel drive. The Subaru Sambar sold from 1961 and it was on sale for about 50 years spanning over 6 generations. Technically, Sambars are still sold today by Daihatsu Motors, which is a Toyota sub-brand. Now, this particular Sambar belongs to the 5th generation. And for the most part, they've come in either truck or van, and the trucks are very popular among farmers and people who do maintenance work and so on because they're small, reliable, and cheap to maintain. Now, all Sambars are K cars. I'll try to do a separate video in the future about what exactly a K car is, but basically it's a lightweight vehicle that comes under 64 horsepower and has a maximum engine displacement of 660 cc. Here's a normal Sambar from the same era for comparison. I bought this particular Sambar from someone I met online, and overall it was in pretty good condition. I did some maintenance work on it and then got it prepped to ship to the US. Now, what happened was when it arrived in the States, Customs flagged it because the paperwork says Subaru Sambar, but it looks completely different. It looks like a VW van, and so Customs did not like that at all. Ultimately, they decided that this car doesn't abide to the safety standards of the US, and so that forced me and my business partner to ship it back to Japan. So the thing is, with this car, it just looks so awesome in general. The paint is really fresh and still alive, the pink paint right here. If you look at the windshield, it's just so massive compared to the size of the whole vehicle. These lights are really cool and stylish. I just love it so much. One thing I don't love is this low ground clearance. It makes that four-wheel drive aspect a little bit moot, but otherwise, you know, it's just an awesome car to look at in general. So as you can see, this car is very, very small. It's only 11 feet long and 4.5 feet wide. Now, to put that into perspective, it's about 2/3 the size of a Toyota Prius. But what makes this car really stand out is that it's 6 feet high. So that gives it a very distinctive van look. So one big drawback about this being such a small vehicle is that if you have 4 people in the car, you can only carry 220 pounds worth of luggage. That's not a lot at all. One thing that's also funny about this car is despite its small width, you have 2 sliding doors. So coming to the back end, the most notable feature about this car is that the engine is actually in the back. I've already unscrewed this, but you lift this up and it reveals the engine. This is a straightforward gas engine that runs about 45 horsepower, but because the engine is in the back, it gives that kicking feeling, so this should be a lot of fun to drive. Alright, so moving on to the interior, generally speaking, it's very sparse, but before I get into all these specifics, you can notice that the trim is actually greenish, like this kind of fading green. The exterior originally was this color as well, I imagine. Now, getting back to like the gauge cluster, you can see that it's very, very simple. You have a super small stereo, super small air conditioning, and a tiny, tiny glove compartment. Not sure what you will do with that. Some unique things about this car are this knob. Like, it's so weird and funky. Close it like that. And you have the hazard lights right up here. So in terms of driving position, you have some adjustment here. I'm not that big, so I could get comfortable, but this is the farthest back it goes. So if you're over 6 feet tall, it's gonna be really, really cramped. Although you do have a load of headroom. Moving on to the back, very similar story, I would say. Not too much knee room. I mean, even me, I'm not very comfortable here, but like I said, loads of headroom. So if you're wondering where the battery is, you undo this, you undo a couple latches here and here, you can lift up the passenger seat, then you have another cover which reveals the battery. Now let's go for a drive. Oh man, this thing is so funny. This is the gas cap. Wow, I've never had to put gas so low in a car, like bending over. Yeah, this car really isn't meant for tall people. Alright, so driving the Subaru Sambar, this car is just such a blast to drive. You can see that the car is shaking really back and forth. The suspension is a little bit off on this car. However, having the manual transmission is just so great on this car. It just makes it so much more fun and lively, I would have to say. Now, this car is incredibly fun, especially on turns. You feel like you're going incredibly fast, but then you look at the speedometer and you're only going something like 20 miles per hour. And all these windows just give you such a great view. The biggest downside with the vehicle, like I said, you have this rocky like suspension. So long trips you might get a little bit nauseous, but in tight squeezes like this car is just so small. And it's so easy to navigate these tight spaces. This car does have quite a cult following. Basically because, you know, it's funky looking, it's small, it's unique and cheap, but also because you could customize it like you have this car. And of course, it's really fun to drive, and so that's why it's actually pretty popular here in Japan. All right. Yep. Oh, I just love driving this so much. 3 things I love about this car. Number 1, this 4-wheel drive button right here. It's like a video game. Pew! Pew! Number 2, if you take the headrest off, you push this lever right here and you pull this lever, you can actually fold the seat down. Now, if you do it on both sides, this button right here, pull this, you can actually get a flat bed like so. Number 3, this car weighs less than 2,000 pounds. So you could push it like so. That's about half the weight of a Toyota Camry. So what are my final thoughts on this car? Despite me not driving the manual gearbox to perfection, even if I did drive it correctly, it's just not going to be that comfortable of a ride. The suspension is a little too soft, the knee room is a little too tight, so you really don't want to do long drives in this thing. However, if you want something funky looking, if you want to stand out, and you love this color, and you want to have this fun driving experience, yeah, you should definitely check out one of these Sambars. There's nothing quite like it. Thanks for watching. Like I said, this is just the first video, and the Sambar, I'm really gonna hate to see it go because it's just so awesome. But you know what? I have many more videos coming up soon, many more cars, so please do stay tuned.